for car 14. Over the rise, in the slide, and Tim Slade in the fence on the opening lap. And a lot of damage. I was just saying that everybody was quite contained. I don't know whether he got a bump or not, but that car has hit the fence hard on the way out of the cutting.
We've already had some trauma this week in that garage with Macaulay Jones making contact with the wall up at the cutting. But no sooner than you'd said not a bad clean start, which was my thought as well. We look up and Tim Slade, who's in the Freightliner Racing entry, has made very heavy contact with the concrete wall. So our first safety car and the Vodafone medical car has also gone out straight away. He'll be okay. But I saw Brad very early this morning, and it's already been a challenging week. And he was pretty frustrated before proceedings had even started this morning. They've not been able to quite get these cars where they need to be in dry conditions. They were very strong in the wet, which earned them a spot in the top 10 for 2 of their cars. And fuel saving will be the order of the exercise here. So just watching where Tim sits in the field here.
Oh, he had a little bump. There's a little wheel-to-wheel bump. It's one of the Walkinshaw cars. Who's the lead Walkinshaw car? Might have been Scott Pye.
Well, it was car number 2.
I don't know.
But whether there was contact, I can't establish it. And Scott is in that car at the moment. So cold tyres, heavy fuel. Maybe here's a bit more of it. This is out of the cutting, second gear. Scott's to the inside.
Yep.
He's bounced. Did Scott catch a bit of curbing?
I think so, but that's just a racing incident. There's no intention there at all. Cold tyres, cars are sliding around, always traction limited in that zone. Tim was around the outside. The back of Scott's car slid, and then it got the front of Tim's car, and probably
so
all of the above,
which is option D. And that may be what's contributed to that, because it certainly stretched the mileage in that first stint for him in car 12. This is Will Brown. Does he get down here?
Oh!
No, is the answer to that question. So awkwardly placed on the inside, the dirty side of the road, and then as it started to look ugly, he had to scramble to try and get the thing to turn with more brake pressure, and it's locked those rears, rotated. So see how it's so late in the stop, because he started to think about going up the inside. Alex had seen him, so he was staying higher anyway. He didn't want to turn down because it was all going to get ugly for both of them. And as soon as Will fed it that low gear, he needed more stopping power earlier in that stop, and he just couldn't do it. So he's gone fully to the right-hand lock stops there, and it's pitched off the road down the bottom. The super slow-mo gives us a graphic understanding of what all that looks like. So for Will Brown, that's an awkward delay that he didn't need. Rookie in the race last year with Anton De Pasquale. Wasn't up far enough early enough to be able to get that, able to be cleanly executed. Trevor's got a lead of 1.7 seconds, make that 1.8 over James Moffat. It's pretty tight at the top. And
he got down there, no problem. Does he let Jamie go by? Yes. Oh, no, he doesn't! Whincup has made a massive mistake. They're out. That's over and out for car 888.
Unbelievable. I stood back when I saw it and waved my hands, because outside on the approach to turn 3 is no man's land. There's no grip. There's a trigger of safety car. Whincup and Lowndes are out of the race. 129 laps remaining.
He will be filthy.
Now that moves Mostert up a spot as well. This could trigger some activity. Now, do they take it? Wonder how many will take the opportunity. Looking at the pit lane, they're laying up. It looks like lots of people are going to take it. So there's the stricken 888 car, Red Bull Holden Racing Team entry of Jamie Whincup. Vast experience. Tried to pull a move round the outside at turn 3, and that was a very difficult place to do it because it's dirty. It cambers away from you. And we've seen many a driver over years gone by make a mistake and whack the wall there. And this is going to be quite a significant delay to recover that car and get it onto the Hino truck and out of there.
And that puts it to get around there. And it also requires the person on the inside not to give you a bump, which is the Murphy-Ambrose scenario.
Yeah, and you can't close back down or you'll wipe yourself across the nose of the other car. Kostecki on the inside, Whincup on the outside, but he's a car and a half wide of the ideal line. It's dirty out there. There's a dip in the road. Jamie Whincup has made a huge mistake there. Here he is. Look. Now, there's a huge crunch with the concrete and it is completely unforgiving up there. And the approach speed into the cutting is 195 kilometres an hour. Look at that. Oh. Now, I tell you, it was lucky that the other two didn't somehow get tangled up in a ricochet moment there as well, and it comes to a grinding halt right opposite the apex. So here's another view of this. Riding with Chaz Mostert for Mobile One Appliances Online. Brody got a pretty ordinary run out of there, and Jamie would have been hoping to be able to step down in front of him. It's just too wide. He just carried too much pace. He was clear of him. He'll look at that when he gets home. This is... I didn't want to talk over that audio. This is something that he'll look at with time and go, oh, I could have been able to close down just that little bit more, but the woulda, coulda, shouldas in motorsport. It's a pretty long toilet roll list, that one. So Whincup out of the game.
We've been through those races. We're back-to-back in Darwin and Townsville. Here we go. It's a safety car.
Here we go.
Safety car at the end. Can you believe it?
Oh, look at Mike Dutton's reaction. So Jack Smith has gone into the gravel.
Safety car boards and flags.
On the race management channel, they've lit up the word that the safety car will be deployed. We've got trouble here also for car number 2 late in the game. Bryce Forward has put some damage on the Mobile One Middy's entry. So all of a sudden, things erupt with 9 to go. Is this a game changer?
It's a game changer.
Oh, my goodness, the tension in the garages. Jamie Whincup there on screen. Shane Van Gisbergen, he looks like he's working hot and hard out there. We know that Waters has been battling, and that's a sad sight with the damage on the left rear corner. Garth Tander knows the implications. When you condense the field like this, you're not necessarily off the hook. Mark Dutton, David Cauchi, Jamie Whincup, they're looking on the same screens that you are, and they can see Jack Smith heavily parked up in the gravel trap down here, and here's why. Pinched the brake at the bottom of the chase, and it's gone in at very high speed. It's actually plucked the tyre off the rim in the process, tried to pick it up on the throttle and get it back out there, and couldn't. So that triggers the KO safety car. Young Jack Smith, who's been partnered today with Jack Perkins at Brad Jones Racing, capping off an evil day, unfortunately, for them. The hope there is that Macaulay Jones has been able to get, together with Tim Blanchard, the Cool Drive entry up into 13th. And this is what happened to Forward at the same time. Bang! Smacks the concrete wall at the S's on the run to the dipper off the top of Skyline. Here's the replay again. Now, what triggered this, Mark?
I don't know. I was looking before. I couldn't. He's actually too wide, isn't he? He's made the turn at the S's too tight, and then he's popped off that inside curb. It's then grabbed the left-hand front wheel, locked the brake, and then can't steer it. So he's always trying to modulate the brake pedal. He can't do it. It's now understeering directly into the fence, and he almost... Well, he does. He actually misses slightly the right-hand fence, but now he can't get it turned at all, and he's going into the left-hand barrier. Right there.
Oh, and that's really substantial damage late in the game. What a drama.
Total ends of the track. So one's down at the chase, one's at the top of the hill, and you got
nothing to do with each other, and yeah, weird one. So just pinched the brake up there, and the minute those front tyres...
Nice opening lap, and a nice move by Steve Owen down the inside, and got that job done. There's a car in the fence there. That's car 96. That's Russell. That's on the way out of the fast chicane. He's been able to back it back.
Big contact.
Guys, they just
damage
in front of me.
Got a 1 second margin, and look at the amount of damage on the front of that car. And the race director, Tim Schenken, is just radioing to say we need to be looking carefully at the amount of damage in the right front corner of that car at the moment.
know, the guy that's been the biggest loser is David Wall. So Scotty McLaughlin will be looking. He can't get in his way. Scott McLaughlin will be looking because he did a great job in qualifying to get to position 4. David Wall's lost 4 spots back to P8.
Unless more things rattled off that, which they may have after it went out, but I'm a little bit surprised that car went out in that condition.
Totally.
And Paul Dumbrell doing the right thing. He's just taking it very gently, but he's lost all his margin over Alex Premer as a result of just cautiously pacing behind this car. He'll probably have a sneak up the inside at turn 11 if he can. He's very close to it now, so watch him diving down the inside, and he's done that. And he'll have had a radio message in 96 just to let them
blue
go.
Flag. Two was on the inside. And here's the action. That was with Cam McConville. They all propped. And that's how David Russell's injuries occurred. Look at that for a bit of brutal work to fix the front of the Altima.
So the composite guard just peeling away there. So it was car 222 Cam McConville.
Oh no, not again.
So that's Luke Gilden, and this time it's Warren Luff. Those cars are magnets this weekend. Now we go on board with Luff. Because they've all propped straight into the back of it.
Apparently on slick tyres. Fritz van Aert spins it out of the first corner. And he's on a slick tyre, so fresh out of the pit lane. And we heard that it was due to drizzle until about midday, and Louise confirms that it's frizzy hair weather down in the pits. And Van Aert out of the pit lane and just rotating in front of a couple of cars.
On the Fords and Jackie Chan Oricas, both avoiding neatly though the bright yellow Dallara.
98 Aston Martin comes into the pit lane as well. Paul Dallalana. And there is a set of wets ready for him. So, there's the 70 car, has not made it all the way round.
He pulled over, I think, out of turn 1, didn't he?
Yeah. Still, you could see the driver down there trying to do something after this huge tyre explosion.
Massive damage, though. Massive damage of that car.
Yeah, but the rim stayed on. The suspension didn't seem to be that awry, and he had a glancing blow on the wall and kept going. So he's trying to drive it back. And I wonder whether he's just run out of oomph up the hill.
No, he'll be able to get up the hill. I think the car's got enough power on 3 wheels. The only thing is
whether he's got enough grip at the back.
2 Porsches are back in, 91 and 92. I'm just looking out the comms box windows. We've got replay. Both Porsches are back into the pits. That must be just to refuel if they are going to be at the back of the field.
Louise Beckett, we heard it was going to drizzle lightly until midday. What's going on down with you?
That's probably a good explanation of it, yes.
Drizzling.
Let me just tell you, the 91 just had fuel, the 92 are now switching to slicks.
Okay, so they've both gone out on a different tyre choice. What are we going to do? And the answer is, okay, it should be slicks.
Fritz van Aert is back in the pits after that spin at the first corner. He's another one that's came back in. It was a harmless spin in that respect, but it depends what he'll do on tyres.
Well, at the moment, he's still ahead of the pole sitter. Let's hear from the 91 Porsche team.
Everything is fine for you on the car? Copy. Which tire is on the car? Dry, wet. So, if we start, we are on a different strategy. And if he is fast and let him pass, we will have 2 completely different paces. So I look at the Ferrari, they put slick, and we see.
Right now, it's just any kind of formulated strategy is just being ripped up as the weather changes constantly behind the safety car. It was drying, now a sprinkler of rain means it's not drying any longer. Oh, and the rebellion is off, and very heavily the number 3 car into the barriers. And the problem, Alan, with going for a slick tyre on a track that's where you're not running up to speed is you run out of tyre temperature, and then it might as well be wood, frankly.
Yeah, the problem is once you get in the grass as well, then you speed up in effect. He can't do anything, and he can't even get the car moving because he's beached. The belly of the car is on the grass, and he's just effectively spinning the wheels. So Gustavo Menezes was in the car there, and as you can see, teammates coming out there. That's their afternoon, if over, I think completely over. But that will extend the safety car period as well, which will also just mean that the tyre choice is going to be thrown once more. Graham.
And the second part of this is this is the crew that sits second to the Drivers' Championship right now, by dint of their consistency through the year, and of course with those exclusions for Toyota. This is what happened.
He just lit up the wheels, and it was basically a tank slapper. So caught it one way, then the other, and it picked up a bit of momentum. Then he was offline, and once he was on the grass, I feel for Gustavo in that respect. It's
downhill, off camber. That was never coming back, was it?
I've seen a few Formula One drivers doing that as well. So it's not as if it's, he's out of the car. He's trying to see what
There's
can be done.
There's not a corner left on it, is there? Ugdashonak there in the blue jacket.
Yeah, but he's seeing if he needs to take bodywork off or what he can do to try to actually get the car back in any way whatsoever. He's also remembering he's second in the Drivers' Championship, and I would suggest that car is out of the race.
Well, also, you know, we've done a dozen racing laps. That's it. You know, he needs a push or a tow or a something, and they will have to move it because they can't leave it there. That is an immovable object in a runoff area, so they will have to move that. The safety car will remain out.
This is an interesting one because, as well, for the people that have gone on to slicks, it was quite good for them, like the Fords, for example, because they were going quickly to catch up on the safety car, which would generate temperature. Now, the safety car is going to go very slowly because the train is all together, and they need to wait to recover this. So all the temperature they gained is dropping out, and if it is starting to drizzle, it's going to be even more difficult for them. But as you can see now, the wheels are just spinning as the belly of the car, as I said, is beached on the grass. That is a 900-kilogram car, so they're going to have to do a lot of pushing to get it moving.
These guys, by the way, this is the medical team trying to give them a push.
Yes, that's not their prime function.
No,
but it's also not really what they're not going to be able to do that.
No, that's going nowhere in a hurry. That's going to need proper dragging.
Here you see it again. He's just comes out, accelerates, it switches one way, then catches the other. And as the road goes right, he gets onto the grass.
Horrible moment for him.
And if it had been relatively dry for the last couple of weeks, then a little bit of drizzle on the grass might not have made the difference, but it hasn't. It's been pretty wet. So, unfortunately, that looks like the end of the road for the number 3 Rebellion.
Yeah, we saw Kaleem Boudra there, who's running this program for Rebellion on the phone. Not sure who he's phoning, but not Gustavo, unfortunately, who's now out of the car, so that's that car out of the race.
Yeah, especially is here today.
Let's hear from our pole sitters. Toyota number 8 currently lying 3rd.
Okay, Cass, we might expect increase in the level, increase in the rain. We might expect increase the rain, and they should finish. Well, it's around 15 minutes. Around 15 minutes.
Yes. So we were told originally light rain, level 1, which is the lightest up until midday. Now it's level 2, which is a little bit heavier, so more consistent drivel up to midday 5. And you can see there, bit of blue sky, but as you pan further right, you can actually see the rain coming down from the cloud. It's not heavy, but it does mean that the track will get greasier, the temperature will drop in all the tyres, and unfortunately that old axiom, Alan, that cautions breed cautions, that's because you lose tyre temperature and brake temperature and everything else, and the track is also getting another sprinkling of rain. We heard Kevin Estre 10 minutes ago saying it's hard to spot what's dry and what's not. Well, it's going to be a lot easier now because none of it will be dry. Let's just recap at the moment after, gosh, nearly an hour of racing. SMP Racing's number 11, Jenson Button, leads in LMP1 from the 2 Toyotas. Number 7, Kamui Kobayashi, ahead of number 8, Kazuki Nakajima. In LMP2 and 6th overall is the car that's actually first up in the safety car queue, Nico Lapierre for Cinetec Alpine. 11th overall, behind a bunch of GTE Pro cars, is the second place car, which is the Labra competition number 50. Amazingly, Romano Ricci, the car that was almost at the tail of the entire field, never mind LMP2 when we were under green flag running, is in second, and TDS with Mathieu Vazivière is third in LMP2. Ahead of them are the lead cars in the GTE Pro class. Aston Martin still 1-2, Niki Thiem ahead of Maxime Martin, and BMW's Martin Tomczyk lies in third. And in the AM class, again, Satoshi Hoshino, a calm head and an experienced head on his shoulders. He leads in the 8080 Dempsey Proton ahead of Project One's Egidio Perfetti, Porsche 1-2-3, in fact. Because
Look at that. Oh, and the Ferrari's gone round, Newell's gone round. Oh, doof, he's hit the bank.
That's what happens in traffic. Unfortunately, he's trying to fire it up, but that stayed away from the banding, the rubber banding, for a very, very long time. He's hooking it up. Let's see what the damage is as he rejoins, riding on board. Oh, the damage is right down the right-hand side of the car.
Quite extensive, I'm afraid.
And that was the car that was fastest on the qualifying timesheets with 9.5 minutes remaining, but it may still remain there. He's only 0.1 of a second clear, but big unfortunate moment there for Andy Newell.
He's just going to park it up there. He's in traffic, running behind Harris and the Ferrari, and he looked down the inside, then changed his mind, I think. The air brake came up.
Yeah, I think he was surprised at how early Chris was braking, wasn't he? Just caught out slightly and had to dart to the outside.
It always hurts.
Here's on board, and you can see the red LM ahead, the Corvette to the left. Looks down the inside and then has to switch tack, but it's gone round and poof.
But all Harris was doing was he'd got past the Corvette, was moving on to what was the optimum line for him to take a wide sweep into Woodcote, but just the closing speed of Andy Newell there in the number 6 Ferrari, again a replay, was just too much, and he had to take evasive action. Unfortunately, there you can see the marshals jumping back. The water from last night's rain spraying out of the tyres on impact, but tattered and battered is that number 6 250 GTO, the 64 model. Andy Newell on the back.
Yes, out
of the car. Back of the Rolex 24 at Daytona, and the one-time race leading car, the Gasco. Stallings, Riley of Alex Gurney is in trouble. There was an incident coming off NASCAR turn 4, and Alex has slowed dramatically. It involved the GT car, 42 of Team Salem, Michael Oriema behind the wheel, and now Gurney is limping back to pit road.
Damage to the right front wheel, damage to the right front body, and you have to suspect, with the wheel being that bad, this is the Porsche that had the crash in turn 4.
There's a bit of high-tech work going on that hood. Just must have come undone on the banking there, flicked up. Obviously slowed up, and Gurney ran into him. Very, very disappointing for Alex Gurney.
Well, let's take a look at a replay. And this is what it looked like for Alex Gurney. He's up high. Michael Oriema is center of the track. He drifts wide, and Alex has nowhere to go. And there's the contact.
He could absolutely not see it all out of that Porsche.
Daytona prototype sweeping through. AJ Armendinger led that charge. Now this is a separate incident down in turn 1 involving car 22.
Boy, 22's had a pretty checkered career in this race so far. That's the second time we've seen him at the start of the
Back to Alex Gurney.
Now the bad news is, with that wheel being bent, you have to assume that the front suspension on the tie rod's going to probably take a hit too.
It can't be right, can it?
Now this is Michael Oriema, the Team Salem car. Back on pit road, needing that much attention. You have to feel for him. He couldn't see where he was going coming out of NASCAR turn 4. As we go back to our race leading car, Max Angelelli being chased by Mark Goosens. Now the interesting story here is that during the off-season, a switch of team ownership as far as the SunTrust car, and look at this damage.
The whole thing coming unraveled, not only the tyre, but the whole race has completely ruined that nose, and as Dorsey has said, it's bound to have damaged that suspension. It'd be a miracle if it hasn't.
All this in the first 5 laps of the race.
Well, of course, unfortunately, it caught him out too, coming out of NASCAR 4. If he'd just been a bit lower on the track when that happened, he could have dived in straight away instead of just had to do a whole lap, which has done a lot of damage to that car.
Well, Gainsco Insurance have about 100 VIPs here this weekend. They were thrilled when Alex put this car on the pole position, and now they will be gutted. They will be devastated. And race leaders sweeping by already. This is costly. Calvin's on the spot.
Well, as you can imagine, Lee, a lot of damage here to the right front corner, and the key for Alex Gurney was driving this car slowly enough back in the pit lane to not induce further damage to the suspension. Mechanics are going to work here. The rear end is being serviced in terms of tyres and fuel, and right now the mechanic is trying to evaluate if there is any further suspension damage to it. Initially they thought toe link, which is the link connecting the steering wheel, the steering rack, to the wheel as it turns through the corner. Right now there's a wheel going back on here, so maybe the mechanic feels right now there is no suspension damage. These noses, if the brackets are not broken, can be changed relatively quickly. Very expensive part of the car, but something that the teams are easily set up for. They'll typically carry about 3 or 4 spare noses for a 24-hour race, because this is not an uncommon occurrence. But right now, underneath, once that nose is off, I see one of the cooling vents has been torn, and the mechanics are making a little bit further investigation here to see if there is anything wrong. It's a long race. You're better to spend a few more seconds here in pit lane before sending the driver back on the racetrack with a car that is unsafe or may have a further problem.
Around about the 2-hour mark this time last year, this 99 Riley was involved in an accident as well. However, sadly, this time it has come a whole lot earlier. Now, problems too for this Porsche, the True Speed Porsche. Robert and Charles Morgan, Timo Bernard, the Porsche expert, started this car. Chris, you're on the spot. We might get some feedback on that a little later as we go on board with David Donohue in the Red Bull Porsche-powered Riley. And when we come back, we'll talk to the king. Yes, Richard Petty is with us when we come back.
And I used to look at my dad as a little kid, look at my dad and say, Dad, I'm going to race here one day. I promise you I'm going to race here one day. And that was my dream. And I still remember driving through that tunnel the very first time. It was a thrill.
You ride with the Orbit Racing GT3, Kyle Petty at the wheel, and currently that Orbit car is 5th in class, 7th overall. That's an improvement on where they were at the Rolex 24 last year. They ended up finishing 7th in class, so things are on the up and up. Chris Neville, what's happening?
Well, the team really looked like a solid contender earlier in the weekend, but they've had their share of problems. Yesterday in the daylight hours, they had 2 right rears blowing out. Another one of these Porsches with problems on the Dunlop. Back upstairs to you guys.
That's the 68, excuse me, Chris. Yes, sorry about that. That is a massive crash. That is the 2nd Racers Group Porsche. There's been 3 here this weekend. We know that the 67 is out, and that is the 68. That is a massive crash. Whoa, Jim McCallion.
Is that who's in the car?
We are pretty sure that Jim McCallion is in the car.
All right, that is at the exit of, on the inside of the racetrack, at the exit of turn 5 on the infield. And that's a strange spot. He must have maybe had contact. He got off. He would typically get off on the outside and come back across. And how he got upside down, we'll have to take a look at this. Oh gosh! He went through 1. I think he went through 1. Went through turn 1. Okay, okay.
Wow!
And he came straight.
Again, this is the Racers Group Porsche. Jim McCallion is the driver. This is the sister car to the race leader. And that was a very fast and frightening looking crash. Jack,
what? The way that car, I mean, he's safe in there. There's a lot of bars. It's a good, secure area where he is. So, and he went through a couple of barriers, which took some of that impact away and diffuses the impact. So
you hate to speculate on any type of mechanical, but he went off awful fast. It doesn't even look like he slowed down.
Leader coming in. The team down there looking on from the Racers Group. Let's have a look at a replay. This is in real time. Follow the group around. This is a real-time replay. Watch the right-hand side of your screen.
Whoa. Boy, he just came straight across from the dog leg, wide open. It's like he went straight off, never made the left through the dog leg.
Or brakes, or you don't know.
And just, you know, he got it backwards. He got off, got backwards. When you hit the grass, I mean, all bets are off at that point. Once the four wheels are in the grass, you go in the direction the momentum is taking you at that point.
It's such a fast
no longer
part
have
of the
any
track,
control. And that is the fastest part of the infield for sure. The only.
Well, let's have a look at exactly where this is. Jack Baldwin will talk us through. We'll have a look at the track map. And Jack, if you wouldn't mind pointing out, firstly, to our viewers exactly where it is. Secondly, where what happened.
Right in here is where the car, as he came off, he came right here at this fast dog leg. He came off and came straight across here and went through this barrier right here and crashed right here. So this is where he's sitting right now.
So Jim McCallion is out of the car. That is a very positive sign. A man who plays a major role in motorsport in this country, who now runs the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach. Very, very busy with the Champ Car Series. Has been around a long time. And also is very involved in the race at St. Pete here in Florida. The opening round of the World Series. Let's take another look at that as Jim McCallion walks away and is extremely fortunate to be able to walk away. We'll have a look at that again, and you get to see the full impact and just how fast Jim left the circuit. Again, as we follow the cars around, as they head away from the camera, watch to the right-hand side of your screen. You will see the Racers Group Porsche come right about now.
There he comes, sailing through, hits that guardrail. That actually helped it out a little bit. But if you notice, the car is intact. I mean, the car and where he's sitting is, see right here, right there. That's where the driver sits. And,
well, the owner of all three Racers Group Porsches has got enough on his plate with leading this race, and now he's seen his second car go out. Let's hear from Kevin Buckler.
Well, Lee, I'm down here. Obviously, a lot of concern in the Racers Group pit. I mean, they were very high with the race lead, but obviously very upset about what just happened, as long as we make sure that Jim's okay. Kevin, have you heard anything from the 68 team or from Jim?
No, I just went around the corner there, and I saw the car upside down, and I didn't know who was driving. I just want to make sure the driver's okay. It looks like he's climbed out, and he's okay. You know, I don't know why there's a barrier there. It went in a couple of years ago. It's not a very good place for a barrier. We've said that for a long time, so...
Well, it's nice to see Jim out of the car. As far as the 66 car goes, we'll go to the high points here. You just got out of the car. Everything good?
Yeah, everything's really good. Timo's in. We're running as hard as we can go right now.
Now, you know, as far as the 68 car goes, was that the car that won Le Mans last year, or?
That was the Daytona winner from last year.
Well, very disappointing.
We're doing great, too.
Obviously, very disappointing for the Racers Group team, leading overall, but you don't want to see a car go out. You certainly don't want to see it go out like that.
And... well, if Kevin can hang on and win this race, that's one thing, but it's been a very expensive weekend for him as well. Two of the three Racers Group Porsches out of this Rolex 24. We're about to take a short break, but let's have a look at that replay one more time. Jim McCallion in the 68 car. Boy, the speed of that car was arrested quickly, but he is okay. Just a little after 8 here, local time at Daytona International Speedway. The Rolex 24 continues. Thank you for joining us. Lee Diffie with Jack Baldwin. Terry Borchella's in here with us as well. Brian Till and Chris Neville down in the pits. Thank you for joining us. It's been an early start to the day, but we've had a fair bit of action. Jack Baldwin, talk us through that incident we just saw with Jim McCallion and the Racers Group Porsche.
Yeah, that big crash had just happened. As he came across right here, he came straight across, and he hit this barrier right here. That barrier right there, that slowed him down, and that kept him from going across this racetrack, that's what they want to avoid right there. A car coming just like you saw right there, and he was going so fast, he would have gone across the racetrack and hit this guardrail right here. So
here is a replay, another replay of the crash. Watch to the right of his screen.
As he's moving really fast, but that barrier slowed him down and kept him. And here's the other barrier, right? Here's another one. That barrier gave way. It diffuse the impact. That's what you want. He's intact. He's in shape right there. He's okay. He's where he's supposed to be, in his driver's seat, strapped in, Hans device, the whole thing. No problem.
The bank Porsche, did a fair bit too, Jack.
The bank slowed down, and it kept the car from crossing. If that car had gone without any obstruction and crossed the racetrack, it could have been a lot worse.
We are under our 10th full caution, and as you look at the leaderboard...
Unfortunately, the debris field is large at the Michigan International Speedway as we have had an incident into turn number 2 as you are on board with Jacques Lazier. Just to his left is number 24. That is Roger Yasukawa. You saw Jacques giving the okay. You know, Scotty, as they were coming across the finish line last time, we both said this is not good. It was too close. And I don't know if that other car up on the hill is Townsend Bell, but I have a pretty good idea that it is.
You know, just a lot of aggression starts to come out at the last part of that race. You can see Jacques Lazier right now starting to remove that headrest. Wants to get out of the race car. The 55 of Kotsuki Misura is up there on the wall. We'll have to go back and see if we can see exactly what ended up happening. But it started back in turns 1 and 2.
And there it is, Townsend Bell.
Townsend Bell, the 2 car. That's all the water that's on the ground from the cooling system. He's getting out somewhat a little bit slow. You know, they do have the safer barrier here, Todd, that steel and foam energy reducing system that's actually on this race course. Wow. But still, hitting these things at over 200 miles an hour is huge.
Here it is. You saw it in side by side. Townsend Bell with a wiggle.
Yep.
Scott Sharp gets around. And that's the big impact. Jacques Lazier had nowhere to go. Neither did Roger Yasukawa for that sake.
You know something, you remember, you travel the length of a football field in less than a second going the speed that these guys go. Already seeing the smoke. Car's starting to go around. And it looks like he probably got hit from behind from the 24 from Roger Yasukawa, possibly. We'll have to go back and see if we can see that. But the right front tire of Jacques Lazier's car is actually starting to bounce off the front hood of his car as he goes through. Now these tires are tethered to the car with the tethers that they call the swems, which actually make sure that the tires don't depart from the car itself. But as a driver, you're sitting in the cockpit. That's something you're always aware of because the stuff just comes inside the cockpit.
Well, if you thought the video was dramatic, Scotty, let's listen in.
Car spinning in front of you.
And it's the long grind to the stop that actually makes the driver.
There's Townsend, yeah.
Oh, let me tell you something. That Jacques Lazier's car was turned sideways by Kotsuki's car is probably great luck for the 2 car of Townsend Bell, the rock star, because if he had pointed that nose going into the side pod of that car, the visions of Alex Zanardi in Germany a couple of years ago just come to my mind so quickly.
You see all the debris there as that is coming out of turn number 2. Let's look at it one more time, Scotty, because you bring up such a great point about how that really did help Townsend Bell out.
And right there, the target car, which is on the side right there, you're going to end up seeing this car that's now going in the side, and it goes side pod to side pod when it goes ahead and hits the number 2 car, the Rockstar car.
And there on the high side, Scott, you see Roger Yasukawa with nowhere to go.
Now already things are starting to happen. Kotsuki just starts to miss everybody, does the smart thing and takes it up into the wall and just grinds the car along. It is amazing that there's not injuries there because the impact is so hard at over 200 miles an hour.
Jamie Little.
Well, Doug Bowles, we were talking to happier times earlier in the race with Townsend Bell running in the front. I know you just watched the replay. Doug, what'd you see?
Well, it just looked like he got a little bit loose. We were just trying to run and get to the end. Townsend was, you know, for a guy who hadn't been in a car in a year, he did a tremendous job today. We were coming down the main straightaway here, and it looked like he was trying to get under Sam, and Sam actually cut him off, so he had to lift. So I don't know if that caused a little bit of an issue there or not, but I'm just happy he's okay. Rockstar car ran up front again. We just got to get that car to get to the finish, and hopefully in victory lane here.
It all as we go side back to Miami, and we have had a multiple car crash. That is Brian Herta, the XM satellite number 7. He is moving inside the car, and it was just after the start on the green. And Jill, that is the worst side right there, fire.
Yeah, that's Danica Patrick there. That's an unfortunate end for her. She opened her visor. That means she's probably okay, but that fire doesn't look too good to me.
Well, the Delphi safety crew is on their way, and this was just after a restart, and Danica was actually being recycled back for a pit entry violation, carrying too much speed. but they've got to get there and get that fire out quickly. Meanwhile, they're at Brian Herter right now, and there's a lot of debris on the track. So another yellow comes out, and we will hopefully get word momentarily. Scott Sharp also caught in that one, and the 55 of Koski Matsuura.
A lot of cars.
That's a huge amount of cars, guys. They just got a complete amount of cars right in turns 3 and 4 as we watch Scott Sharp start to get himself out of the car. Obviously, he's doing just fine.
6 cars, Scott?
6 or 7 cars. I mean, we have just lost a large amount of the field because I think somebody just started to slide sideways in turns 1 and 2 on the restart. And once you do that, boy, you just collect a lot of guys that go along with you.
Koski Matsuura out of his car. That is Ed Carpenter, number 20 on the Vision Racing. His stepfather, of course, Tony George. His mother will be happy to see that as he gets out of the car. So far the reports have been good that everyone is up and walking around. We're going to have to go back to this and see what exactly triggered this. Thomas Schechter also collected in that. So the count continues to go up on lap 159, a major incident. And here it is.
There we go, 3 cars side by side going through there right now. The car on the top, number 55, Koski Matsuura, is up in the dust, up in the dirt. The back end goes around, goes along and collects everybody. And now he's going to hit his teammate right there, Scott Sharp, right in the side. So that's just cold tires, Jill, as you know. And being up there as the race continues on, a lot of debris starts to get up there, and it's not the place to run.
Well, let's look at the view from Thomas Schechter, and this should be extremely dramatic.
A great start by Koski on the right-hand side, absolutely, Todd. Starts to come down a little bit. You see the back end starting to slide. That's what we call oversteer. Turns around and just collects. Thomas Schechter almost got through with it.
Here's Danica. Now, she tried a risky move. She dropped down low. She saw the incident early. Look at this, Jill. Clips Ed Carpenter.
She clips Ed Carpenter. She didn't back off. She went...
Oh, she's walking. Danica's up and
that's
walking.
Good news.
That's good news.
I tell you, that was an unbelievable incident. Koski obviously got caught out, like Scott said, with cold tires and low pressures, lost the car. Danica was coming down the inside, and she probably didn't see the whole incident developing and kept her foot in to go down the inside.
There's Ben Patrick, Danica's mom. Get her word quickly that her daughter is okay. She looked a little disoriented right there, almost like she wanted to walk back. Let's go back and watch the onboards now. This is in real time at 200 plus miles an hour. On board with Thomas Schechter.
Backs off a little.
There's Koski Matsuura.
He loses it.
This is Danica Patrick. Now she drops to the inside trying to avoid the incident.
She backs off a little. She's on the curb.
See, at that point in time, Ed Carpenter could have been back on the gas because the accident was beside him.
Oh, and it looked like everyone lifted.
Yeah, she almost made it through. Yeah. She was almost all the way down on the apron, underneath the white line to try to avoid Ed, and there was no way of doing that, unfortunately.
Well, it was a high-risk, high-reward kind of move. Unfortunately, it did not pay off for Danica Patrick. Let's send it down to pit row and Vince Welch.
Bobby Rahal was just watching the replay of watching the incident. And Bobby, what was your sight line of the incident?
Well, I mean, it all happened in front of her, and she was doing right, and then Ed Carpenter was about 5 laps down or something like that, was in the middle of that restart, why I don't know, and he parked it in the middle of the incident, and she just caught up to him. But she did a great job all day, made a lot of good passes, and it's just unfortunate. I think she was feeling comfortable, and big accident.
Pit stops and traffic, I know, were the 2 main areas of concern for her coming in today. How would you grade her in those areas?
I'd give her pretty good. I don't know if I'd give her an A, but I'd certainly give her a B. I mean, the restarts were, some were good, some weren't so good. No, but that's just the experience factor. A lot of those restarts, it depends on who's leading the restart. And some of these guys continue to play games, while they're leading the restarts, and it just stacks up. The further back you are, the worse it gets. So, tough day for her, but all in all, I'm pretty pleased.
That's Bobby Rahal. Now let's go to Jerry Punch.
Well, Tom Anderson, managing director for Koski Matsuura. And Tom, from your viewpoint here, what do you think happened?
It looks to me like Koski got the Panasonic car, had a good run on that group in front of him, and they weren't quite as quick as what he thought. And he had to jump to the outside to go around him, and with a combination of the cold tires and the amount of marbles that were up high, I think it wasn't too many, but it was too many for the situation. So just not enough grip up there, and it looked like back end came on around on him up high and got away from him. So I think more or less a victim of circumstances, because he had guys in front, but you know, there wasn't enough room to do what he had to do to avoid going straight into the back of him, and left him in a position that wasn't really compatible with the tires at that time.
Okay, Tom Anderson. Kosuke, though, is okay, guys.
Thank you, Dr. Jerry Punch. 7 cars involved in that incident in turn number 2, and there they are. Thomas Scheckter, Scott Sharp, Kosuke Matsura, Danica Patrick, the rookie, Scott Dixon, Roger Yasukawa, and Brian Herta, all collected in that incident here on lap number 160. An unfortunate turn of events, but Indy Racing has no timeouts, and the same goes for ESPN. You're watching continuous coverage side by. We are on lap 164 here at the Toyota Indy 300. If you have been watching, we have gone side by side here on ESPN. As we take a look at our race recap, so far so good as the day started out. Dan Weldon pushing the envelope, moving out in front, carrying a lot of speed, sometimes in excess of 215 miles an hour. But a rookie mistake by Ryan Briscoe, brought out one of our yellow flags, having his problems again in turn number 4 like he did in practice. And just moments ago, 7 cars collected as they entered turn 2, unable to get out of the incident. Several cars lifting, gentlemen, and that just set off really a chain reaction, a domino effect.
Certainly does. We talked about it. It's on cold tires and the dirty air, or the dirty track that's up on the right-hand side, where Kosuke Matsura went as we ride along there with Danica Patrick going over Ed Carpenter. The key thing we talked about, Jill, is that on restarts, the tires are cooled off just a little bit. And the biggest thing is the race wears on. You don't want to get yourself up into that gray area where all the rubber marbles are that are coming off the tires as the race progresses on.
I think it's one of those typical situations where trying to fit 4 cars in a 3-car space. And unfortunately, that's the kind of thing that happens, especially, like you said, when it's up, you're up high, tire pressures are low. It's so easy to lose the car, and then it just set off a chain reaction.
Well, as John Anderson mentioned, just cold tires, not a good combination. We've got the cameras on board, 7 onboard cameras, and our friends over on ESPN2. Here's Scott Dixon's look at the incident as they were coming into turn number 1. He had nowhere to go.
Brian Herta loses it almost all by himself up in front there and takes Dixon out with him.
Oh.
And Jill, you've been through that before too. You know how much that hurts in that impact.
This is on board with Patrick Carpentier. Now he kind of came out of this unscathed.
And it's just raining debris when that happens, guys, because I've been through it so many times that you're just hoping nothing comes in and lands on you inside the cockpit. And you can hear things hitting the car and feel debris actually hitting your suit sometimes, Jill, because it's a dangerous situation.
I actually broke one of my fingers in 2001 in Michigan, exactly in a situation like this.
Well, just a quick recap. 8 cars have been lost today. Scheckter, Matsura, Sharp, Herta, Patrick, Dixon, Yasukawa, and Ed Carpenter also out as we set down to Vince Welch.
Well, one of the cars caught up in that belonged to Dennis Reinbold, Ryan Reinbold Racing. Roger Yasukawa started 10th, was having a good run up to 5th at one time. Could he have avoided that incident at all?
He tried really hard to get the Investment Properties of America car down low. Our spotter was talking to him, and he just didn't have time to react. The last thing Robbie said from up top was he had no time to do anything. So Roger's okay. It was disappointing because we really had a great race car today. We had a chance to win this thing. So we made a lot of noise today and had a good run. So that's something we can build on, but it's disappointing when it ends like this.
Good luck in Phoenix.
Thanks.
I tell you, he talked about not having time to react, and that is so true, because when you come in at 200 odd miles an hour, it all starts happening in front of you. The speed differential is so great, and you really don't have much time to react. Sometimes all you do is a small steering correction, be back off the throttle. Sometimes you don't even have time to brake before you hit something.
We want to remind you that after this race is complete, ESPN Interactive, Toyota Indy 300 post-race winner. You can chat with him. Go to ESPN.com, keyword IRL, as we send it back down to the pits, and Jamie Little.
Well, Todd, the good news is everybody walked in on their own graces here. They're going to start releasing drivers, but they said they are going to hold Danica for a little while. She's feeling a little woozy, so tough day for these drivers, but we will have another update coming up and we'll get it to you.
All right, thank you very much. That's Jamie Little reporting from the hospital area. The good news is everyone walked in, but Danica did look a little disoriented. But she was this close. You know, we've seen racing like that all day long, and she needed about 2 more inches, and she's through there clean. It looks like a genius.
Well, it's one of those things. I mean, she chose the inside, backed off a little bit, but you could tell he backed off because there's no sound from the in-car camera, but the speed differential is too great. There's nothing else she could have done.
Well, as we take a look at our Toyota lap leaders as the pace car brings him around one more time, unfortunately, this is going to be a long cleanup. After 168 laps, Dan Weldon has 126 of them. Then it's Schechter with 13, Castroneves 9. Tony Kanaan checks in with 8. Now, Weldon and Kanaan are still in the race. Herta has 5, Carpente, Hornish Jr., and Vitor Mira with 1.
There are 2 main things, I think, for those who stay. Cut tires. Did anybody run over some debris? Is that going to be a problem later on in the race with having a flat tire or anything like that? And the other thing is, good news for us is no more fuel worries.
Wolf trying to follow Brian Hoare through as they go inside, but up on the high line, the 55 car, Mike Stefanik, is starting to also make his presence known. A little bit of rubbing. Is that racing? Now they say rubbing's racing. That must have been some racing.
That is definitely. Oh no, he just got turned off.
Somebody got him from behind, and Paul Wolf goes around. Oh, and there's more damage down inside next to him. This is going to be a big mess, and the yellow is definitely coming out. Right here in
Kobiluck.
Oh, Matt Kobiluck, who had worked up to 19th position. He's got a fire under the car just past start-finish line here on the front straightaway at New Hampshire International.
That's actually the fuel pump that got broke off. I mean, the fuel pump is right next to the frame rail that got broke off, and it's just leaking fuel there a little bit.
So the man number 2 in points, qualified 5th, ran from the back of the field up to 19th position and gets caught up in a wreck right here in the home stretch. 25 laps in. 1/5 of the race is done here. The New England 125, and Kobiluck's out of the car. Okay.
I'm not going to mention Paul Wolf's name anymore. I think I might have just brought him that. I can't believe the struggle that he's been having this year.
Well, Matt Kobiluck walks away from what is a fire getting slightly bigger, but now the safety crew is over there to put it out. Wolf's trying to get out of his car as well, sensing the danger perhaps. And out he comes.
That Hutchins device that he's got on his back right there, you unhook that. I mean, if there's a fire, you do whatever. You don't have to unplug your helmet or whatever. Just the quickest way you can get out, but that's what that is, a Hutchins device. Both of them have got them on.
Wolf in the Topps Friendly Markets car. Here's another replay. Take a look. The 9's on the inside. Oh, just so close. And Kobiluck is a little bit further behind. The 68 car of Brandon Miller, a very talented young driver. He is the one that makes the contact after the 9 was starting to move around a little bit. What did you see? And there's Kobiluck. Whoa, what a shot.
Man, that was a hard shot. Honestly, that, to me, almost looked like the spotter right here for the 9 car should have said outside, 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 but he might have, the 68 might have been up in the loose stuff and just got, I mean, I don't know. I don't really know what the situation was there, and it's so hard to call. Only those 2 actually know.
About 9/10 of a groove up there for the 68 car of Brandon Miller, and he needed a whole width of car. Watch it again. Bang. Miller gets into the wall first. The rebound catches the 9.
Yeah, like I say, I mean, you can look at it either way. If you're a Paul Wolf fan, you're going to look at it one way, and like I say, oh man, that was a hard hit right there.
In any case, we have had some major attrition here. A Winston West driver, Brandon Miller, who was making the trek all the way across the country to Connecticut, gets caught up in the wreck along with Matt Kobiluck, the number 2 man in the points, who was moving forward in this race too. This is why. We'll be right back. We're back. Cars are used.
And then puts himself off into the loops on the outside. Come on, pull it back on. Don't end up over there. That is an absolute disaster.
Crossed the line now, I think.
Has
Andrew.
he crossed the line? Let's look at timing. Yeah, no, it hasn't triggered it.
Oh, it has.
It has now. It has now. Why is it showing him ahead of Larson? Larson is sorry.
That's
wrong.
That's an absolute nightmare for the timekeepers because he's gone outside the loop.
I wonder if it's loop, isn't it? Rather than, I wonder if he'd knocked over.
No, the loop will just be under the tarmac.
Yeah, but the backup system. But it looks like it's up on the grass. Do you see the camera up on the right?
He's below it. That's what I mean.
Yeah,
he's gone outside of the timing parameters.
Exactly. He's outside the loop, underneath the camera, isn't it? It's an absolute nightmare.
Also
now he
stuck in the car.
That's how deep the gravel is. So, yeah, one of the lads was saying that yesterday that his kiddie had jumped into the gravel, and then when he came out, both his shoes were gone because the sand is so deep that both his trainers were pulled off his feet. So,
scruffy race, really. But I think Darbeck definitely had some damage on that final lap. I really thought he was going to get it done around the outside. The safety of drivers, it's so difficult to turn your head and see exactly where you are. So, yeah.
You think something broke there, maybe?
I think from the contact.
Look, but then he's gunning the throttle, four-wheel drive, 300-odd horsepower, and it's not enough to get it out of that gravel trap. It is deep. Right, we'll leave you with this recovery for a minute. We're just going to twiddle some technical stuff at this end. Through the right-hander, Ugar's up the inside in the background. Contact between them. Gotherson goes over and is in the wall. Ugar comes through, but will surely be in trouble for that. There is Gotherson.
Immediate red flag for that, I've no doubt.
That's the end of the race, isn't it? Yeah, it was the end of the race anyway, but it's whether or not he'll get... Did you mean black flag or red flag? So we need to see if Gotherson is okay. Contact in that last corner. We'll probably see it from the drone.
I was so excited, I thought we had a lap to go, but that was a massive one.
Yeah, it was a big old off. He's landed, luckily, wheels into the barrier. Lindqvist takes it. Gotherson a DNF. Gotherson was right there. And they're sending out the rescue vehicles now. So that is the most important thing, is that Gotherson is okay. We'll bring you news on that just as soon as we can. But contact between him and Ugar after the Joker merge. Ugar made that pass on... he's climbing out. Okay, Gotherson's climbing out the car. That's great news. There he is, out of the top. And to be honest, how sometimes it can just be that it's almost impossible to get out of the car when the car's at that angle. You know, there's a lot of forces involved. You're undoing your belts. He doesn't look very happy.
He's a big lad as well, isn't he?
He's taller than us by a good 2 or 3 inches, and we're both 6'2", aren't we? Oh, he's 6'3".
I just hunched. It's not even sweating, is he? Wow. But yeah, and also you're a bit discombobulated when you've been over like that. I've rolled a rallycross car, and
it's where are you? Which way are you facing?
And that was a big accident. That went over a couple of times. Has landed in the bank. Let's have a look at it then.
So Ugar, Gotherson's in front. Look, Gotherson on the low line. It's Ugar with Van der Vivre. So Ugar looks inside. I don't know about that one. That's tough. That spent a long time sliding along its roof, Hal. I hope they haven't gone through one of the roll cage tubes, because if he has, it'll be weekend over. There is a plastic cowling, isn't there, over the top, which will protect it to a certain... It wasn't a particularly hard impact, was it? Look in the background now. It kind of falls over onto the roof.
I wonder if we can see that reverse angle again, if we've got time in Stockholm to show us the replay again, because...
Look at that.
The problem, I think, there is that it's run on its roof for a long time, hasn't it? And that's when you start worrying. Let's look at this angle then. So, Ugar's come to the inside here. And Gotherson's just run that bit wide. Ugar's got to the inside.
And there's Gotherson turned in on it.
But he doesn't necessarily know he's there.
No, of course. But Ugar, likewise, can't necessarily...
That's a racing, for me, that's a racing incident.
I think
because the gap was there and then it's closed, but I don't think either of them was wholly at fault. It was a bit clumsy.
We didn't see Ugar move, did you, from his line, if you see what I mean? You saw Gotherson come in. Now, if there wasn't... No, I think then, well, I say, it will depend. We think it's going to depend how much of the roof and, in theory, the roll cage has been ground away. So, we'll see. Alex Lindqvist takes it. Van der Vivre gets P2, Ugar P3 after contact in that last corner with Gotherson, who's a DNS, and Compter gets P4.